Hi everyone, Sailor Mini Moon, or Sailor Little Moon, Sailor Pluto, or Sailor Underworld here, doing a film outside today. And today we're going to talk about why we do not, choose to choose. Now everyone is going to say, oh, well, you should choose who's going to be heading up the leadership arm or who's going to be in the lawmaking arm of the gathering law moat. Oh, you should choose who's going to be in the leadership arm and the lawmaking arm and the law writing arm of the Reich law moat. And you should choose who's going to be in the leadership arm and the lawmaking arm and the law writing arm of the share law moat. And you should choose who's going to be in the leadership arm and lawmaking arm and the law writing arm of the near law moat. And first off, you do not have to. If you choose not to do it, then you have that right, at least in the 4-1 Rikes. Now, other folk Rikes out there are going to say, other lands are going to say, our folk Reich might be more younger than yours, but we have more folks that are choosing and gathering and Reich and sharing near chooses. Because you made it a law where everybody had to choose. And that doesn't make those other folk Reichs out there, greater. Everyone likes to, everyone makes a big deal out of it. And I guess it is a big deal if you live somewhere where you don't have a say in your law moat, gather, Reich, share, near, or whatever, then it's a big deal. But they always make a big deal if you don't choose. They go like, oh, why didn't you choose the force setter? They always ask us, or why didn't you choose the house of the elders or the house of the folks, they might say. Well, first off, because we just don't want to do it. I mean, it's not as smooth as you think. First, you got to belong to some lawmaking gathering, or you don't have to belong to any of them. Then you have to go, then you have to either go to one of the choosing steads, or you can always wire it in. I mean, you do got that say, But at the end of the day, it's a choosing, and we just never choose not to do it, because there's always going to be someone out there who thinks, oh, you chose the wrong force sitter, you chose the wrong elder, you chose the wrong folk, Isn't that true? Oh, yeah, it is true, Sailor Pluto, Sailor Hell World. There are folks out there who all they do is bitch and rant about, who wasn't chosen, or bitch and rant about how the wrong man or wrong woman was chosen to be the force setter for 4 years, or how the wrong men and the wrong women were chosen to be elders and folks in the Winnemote for 4 years, or how many years they can run for. I don't know. That's all you hear about. I mean, everyone behaves as if the wrong man and the wrong woman got chosen, and sooner or later the right man, the right woman's going to get chosen. Well, there is no right or wrong man or woman. It's a belief that everyone's had. I mean, everyone has a belief that this is the right man or the right woman for the work. And we just want to keep out of it. So if the force setter or some elder or some folk in the Winnemote do something that someone doesn't like, at least they can't guilt me and say, okay, who chose him or her? Who chose him and her to run the law moat in our behalf? And now they made some bill or raised some income toll or did something we didn't like. Oh, you. But you see, instead of them guilting themselves for choosing the man or the woman, they end up guilting the man or woman. They're still man-like, still woman-like. They make mistakes. They're flawed. They say and do things that aren't right. I mean, being a lawmaker doesn't take that away from you. And we just don't want to be in it. Because at the end of the day, our word never gets heard, even if we would choose. You know, like, let's say we want to choose for some, I don't know, some elder or some folk in the Winnemalt who wants to get some law made that will, make shifts to how lorries and wains and two-wheelers and, and windy birds and sky ships and undersea ships run to cut back on, on the world heating thing or the world warming thing. But then more folks choose the elder, the folk that wants to get a law to go against all of that. So yeah, your word didn't get heard. Or would say you wanted to choose the FORSETTILER because you believed he or she was going to, I don't know, clean up the sty, which was the gathering law moat, and put right, and cut back on how many teams we have, keep the ones you got, fire the ones the new setup of how they think the gathering law moat should be run. And then someone chooses for someone else that's going to not keep their word, and just gonna, wants to be hired, but doesn't want to do anything once they are hired. So then your word never gets heard. And even at the end of the day, in the 4-1 RIKES, you have Joseph Biden fight Donald Trump. Donald Trump wants to be the FORSETTILER for the next 4 years. Joseph Biden wants to be the FORSETTILER for the next 4 years back to back. And everyone, is against Joseph Biden because he's too old. And they think there should be a law that should cut how old someone should be. Go back to you, Sailor. Go back to you. I want to say some more, Sailor Mini Moon, Sailor Small Moon. All right, you're right, Sailor Moon, Sailor Small Moon. At the end of the day, there is a law that says the FORSETTILER has to be 35 years old or older to even stand for the FORSETTILERship. He or she has to be a born borrower of the 4-1 RIKES. Both their mother and father had to at least been borrowers of the 4-1 RIKES, or they at least had been born there. They had to have a good background with no, misdeeds on their name, and a bunch of other things they got to meet the standard of. So for them to say that someone is too old, that would mean that half of every FORSETTILER that we ever had, everyone that got chosen going back to, George Washington in 1788 YL, well, he was in his 40s, or at least he was in his 40s. Every FORSETTILER at least been in their 40s, 50s, or 60s by the time they were chosen to be FORSETTILER. So you're saying it should only be from like 35 to about what, your 60s or so, then that's it? Well, then that would mean if they made a law that made it that way, then that would mean that Donald Trump couldn't run again because he's already in his 70s. That would mean that Joseph Biden couldn't stand again because he's in his 80s. Then it would be hard for folks to get a FORSETTILER that could run for 4 years back to back. Because some folks think that Joseph Biden's too old. Others think that Donald Trump doesn't understand lawmaking and is always doing something unlawful or something sinful and can't be trusted. So you really know that at the end of the day, a lot of folks are going to be bitching and ranting either way. I don't want to be one of those folks that, bitch and rants for the 4 years that Joseph Biden gets if he's chosen again, or the 4 years that Donald Trump gets if he's chosen again. I don't want to be one of those folks that bitch and goes, oh, Joseph Biden's too old. Why do we choose him for the next 4 years? He's not going to be alive for the next 4 years. Oh, I don't like Donald Trump because he does unlawful and sinful things and he's lying. He's going to besmirch the folk right. He's going to besmirch the 4-1 RIKES gathering law moat. Yeah, I don't want to be like that. And to be earnest with you, I don't really know if there really is a good FORSETTILER. I mean, there's men and women out there that truly want to help and do the right thing. But all these folks out there seem to believe that the right man, the right woman is still out there, but God forbid, no one's never chosen them. That everyone has gotten it wrong since 1788 YL, right? Bullshit. I just don't want to choose because I don't want to choose. And a lot of folks, you know, okay, we're in this film now. We'll see you later.